Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Hour of Need, a modular deck building superhero game. This is the Judge and Jury standalone expansion. So it's a cooperative game of comic book action for 1 to 2 players. In this box, it's set up so you can actually just pick it up. You can either play as just one player, or you can play 2 players with the 2 heroes in the box. Or you could combine with other expansions or the core set to play anywhere from a 1 to 6 player game, depending on how many characters you have. The core set has 4 players, so this would combine it up to 6. But if you got one of the other expansion boxes, it will be it could be a 3 or 4 player game. Or if you have 2 expansions, then you could go up to 6 as well. So that's definitely a cool thing with this. So if you want to know more about kind of how it's played and some of that, it's not a full how to play video, but check out the base game for this, where I kind of go through the rule book, and then as I'm going through all the different cards, I explain what lots of the different effects and text on them mean. I might hint at some in here, but I'm not going to go into as much depth during this video. I'd rather just get into kind of into the nitty-gritty of it. But what will happen was, since these are full standalone sets, they're going to come with their own full rule book, which has all your contents in there, has all your different things. You're going to get all your different tokens you need, all your different minis, your die, your different cards, your boards. So all the same stuff you're going to get in the base set, except for the ones that are more direct towards this. Then they'll have the pages where they explain what all the different symbols and all the cards mean. Board setup, and then again, what all the spaces on a board mean. And then after that page, every other page in here is the exact same as the base game rule book. They only change. In the other stuff, all the same information. They just put pictures from this current game in there. Otherwise, all the rest of them after that then are the exact same pages in the main book. We also get our issue guide. So this is Judge and Jury. So of the current expansions that came out during the Kickstarter campaign, this is the only one that they don't have listed as being a Kickstarter exclusive. I don't know if the other ones will be available on their store or not. This is a Blacklist Games. So there's their name, Blacklist Games. Sometimes they release the Kickstarter exclusive stuff still on their websites. But I don't know if they'll do anything else. So we have a couple different issues here. We have visiting hours, which is a complexity of 1. And then again, just a quick overview on this just kind of gives you the special little things you need to know about the issue. Otherwise, all the rest of these are just more or less flavor guides. Like, stuff happens, you can read to add more to the story, but they don't do anything gameplay-wise. And then we have Campaign Trail, which is a complexity of 2. And then they have the hero-villain page. Sorry for the bad camera, it doesn't really get these wide images. So our first hero is going to be Judge. So this is sort of our, in the base game, we had characters that were sort of equivalent to other characters. We had Majesty, which is sort of Superman. We had Stride, which is like Speed. We had Gorilla, which is kind of like a Punisher, Wolverine character. And Micro Guy, who is sort of like a mixture of Ant-Man and Iron Man. So here we're going to get our Batman and Robin analogies. So of course we have Judge, the black cloaked, caped cloaked character, and then followed by Jury, who's sort of like the Robin-ish character. They're both a complexity of 1. And then we have our main villain, which is One-Liner, who kind of is a Joker-ish looking character, but she's more like physical than playing jokes necessarily. Or, she's a bruiser more than like a schemer, I guess, would be the correct terminology. Alright, then if we look at our boards, so our first board is for the visiting hours. So this is inside, like an insane asylum. So we get our Steam spots here on the side. are different areas where we start. This also follows the same thing of the idea of like each different scheme on the side is like generally like a different room. So you're going to like a different area of the hospital. As it kind of takes place in one room, which is sort of fun. And then the other one gets us back out to like the big city, which is great because if you watch the base game, we started in the city and then we went to like the harbor, which is kind of like a smaller area in the city, and then we went to like rooms. And then here we start with a room. Now we're gonna go back to like just doing stuff around the city, which also makes the game interesting. This is our campaign trail. Now this isn't as zoomed out as the original city, but it's not as zoomed in as the docks. So like the uniqueness of like how you're doing stuff in the flavor in the maps, I think is kind of interesting. Even though they all essentially work the same, they could have just had like a blank board, with like grid tiles on it and like these little spots that go here, go here, go here. The background honestly doesn't make generally any difference, but it helps you feel more thematic into the world. That's one thing I kept bringing up in the other video, was like compared to like Marvel Champions, which is a great game, don't get me wrong at all. I love Marvel Champions, I own everything for it. Check out those videos. But you really feel like your character's standing there, the enemy's standing over there, the plots are standing over here, and you're just playing cards to move tokens around. Like, I'm doing damage, or I'm doing that. Then this game, because you have to move around the board to different areas to interact, so if I want to deal with this where I have to get to this red spot, but I might have to run over here and deal with this red thing, or interact with that, or get over here, or if I complete this, now I have to run to the yellow ones. And the thing is, you might have, Hero A might be trying to deal with the red stuff over here, while Hero B is like, hey, will you do that? I'm going to go defeat this thug that popped up down here on the green, or I'm going to go rescue this bystander. You feel like that, and then it's like heroes and villains attack based on distance. Like, so if like you're closer to one guy, he'll hit you, but if you're far enough away, you're fine. Again, we're Marvel, everything it's always hitting you no matter what. You're always like essentially at the thick of the combat. You're always next to them. So yeah, it kind of adds a little different element to the gameplay. Again, with miniatures, but without having, I guess without having the thing of the miniatures being, like line of sight, not like a game where you have to like, oh, I have to walk around this guy, or I can only attack if I can see them. It doesn't care about that. Alright, then we have token sheets, so we're going to get, just enough to play the game. So you're going to get your different damage and tokens, you're going to get your issue tokens, your hidden tokens, focus, some of those on the back, some more. Then you're going to get your bystanders, your different thugs, and your special characters. You will also get 4 different rings. It's just so you can have one for each different player, so if you're keeping track of who you have in the game. And then our dice. So we have our burst symbols and our successes. Alright. Then we are going to jump in and start looking at the characters themselves. Well, we're going to look at one other quick deck. If I can get it out of here. Maybe. Alright, I'm going to leave that card in there so I don't wreck it. So you do have the little clue deck. The clue deck is going to be the exact same one as the base game. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But basically the clues you get from solving things or defeating villains. And they let you do certain things. But they're going to be the exact same cards. So villain sighting, you're going to get 2 or 3 copies of most of these. So it gets you either 2 dice or you can solve. Trail of evidence, which you have 2, lets you move. Weak point, 2 copies, lets you attack. Point of interest, which has 2 copies, lets you place 1 justice token on each problem. Or I can place 3 justice tokens on 1 problem card. Gives you a little options there. 3 encouraging leads, lets you draw a card. 2 hack comms, lets you exhaust an enemy in the area. 2 locate assistance, lets you solve targeting any peril card in play. 2 copies of Time to Spare, heals 3 damage, and 3 copies of Shared Intel. Choose a hero to gain 2 focus. So they're going to be the exact same cards. I do, like I said in the base game video, which I'll keep referring to, I had wished that they, I wish that they had made those different. I get the idea of being, you can buy this game and play, you can pick it up as its own standalone set, so they didn't want 2 very different, but it would have been cool if they would have had, like, 1 copy of each of them, and then, like, the other half would have been, like, very unique or special clues, which would have given you a little bit extra reason to buy it, but that's alright. Alright, so we're going to get our first character, which is going to be Judge. And she's going to have, we get divider cards for everything, which is really nice. So there's her miniature. Sorry for the low quality on my camera for these. But yeah, they're your standard little miniature. I don't have any issue with them there. And let's see what Judge can do. Alright, so she's going to have her regular hero version, which will give her 14 health, 2 attack, and 2 problem solving. On the case, action, solve, gain +1 die if you have at least 1 clue. So she actually cares about clues, which is a nice different aspect, makes all the heroes feel a little bit different. And then when you focus her, she has 3 attacking, 3 problem solving, sentencing, action, solve, gaining +1, and then +1 die, and then targeting any problem card, then flip this card. Or you can exhaust it to place 1 justice token on any problem card. So that's cool. Just one, either you exhaust it to automatically do 1, or you can try and solve your roll dice to hopefully do a lot more. But there's also that gamble that you might miss. So then she has 3 copies of Shackling Hook, which is a constant. When you play this card, you immediately move to any scheme panel. Exhaust. Choose an enemy within 3 spaces of you. You may place your figure adjacent to that enemy and then deal 1 damage. So you get your, kind of like a different way to do a movement ability. 3 copies of Burden of Proof. You may solve, then choose a hero to gain 1 clue card. 2 copies of Collecting Evidence. When you play this card, you may gain 1 clue. Exhaust. After a hero defeats at least 1 minion during an attack, that hero gains 1 clue. 3 copies of Exhibit A. Choose a hero to discard 2 focus to gain 1 clue card. And we have 3 copies of Swift Justice. Each time you move to a Steam panel, you may defeat 1 minion in that panel. When a showdown effect will resolve, you may discard this card from your hero play area to cancel that effect. Exhaust. During an attack, reduce the target's defense to 0. She's going to get 4 copies of Wise Counsel. This is an instant. Says before heroes roll die during a solve, that hero may gain +1 die. You may use any number of your clues, even if it's not your roll. Otherwise, you can normally only use 1. And then 2 copies of Witness Protection. Discard 2 clues and rescue any 1 bystander. So, this character really likes using the clues, which is different than any of the other characters. I don't even think any, I think like maybe like one of the other, maybe Gorilla in the original base game even says anything about gaining clues. And then Judge is constantly trying to get clues, which I also go towards, that's why that would have been cool if they would have had some extra different versions, because it would have made this game even feel more better. Would have made the clue cards stand out a little bit more if they would have been more than just the generic, assuming you bought the core game. But I guess we just picked this up, and then if you picked up the core game and you're like, oh, how come the core game here, this one has all these crappy versions where this has all these unique ones. So I can understand it from that direction too. Here's Jury. The characters do have some good, interesting little backstories. You can read in the issue guide. I didn't go through them all, so I don't know them. But that's actually kind of funny to see like why these characters are who they are. So we have Jury. So 10 health, 2 attack, and 2 problem solving. Stalwart Sidekick. Exhaust. A hero within 3 spaces gains +1 die to their attack or solve. Exhaust. Reduce damage dealt to a hero within 3 spaces of you. Or 3 spaces of you by 2. And then when she focuses, her stats get this game, but she gets Sequester. Action. Rescue 1 bystander, then you may attack or solve, then flip this card. Or Exhaust. Reduce the damage to a hero within 3 spaces of you by 4. So she makes for a really good character so far that wants to just stick next to a hero. So this could also be a great one to maybe start with as well if you're really not sure on the game, because these 2 characters for co-op work well kind of sticking next to each other. We have Shackle Shot. Constant. When you play this card, you may immediately move to any bystander space. Exhaust. After you rescue a bystander or solve a peril, you may move. 3 copies of We the Jury. You may rescue 1 bystander within 4 spaces of you, then attack, gaining 1 die if there was 4 bystanders in the supply. 2 copies of Medical Training. When you play this card, a nearby hero may heal 3 damage. Exhaust. A nearby hero may heal 2 damage. And then 3 copies of Youthful Vigor. Instant. Choose a hero to heal 1 damage, then gain 1 focus and draw 1 card. 3 copies of Limber Gymnast. Constant. Exhaust. Gain 1 focus, or exhaust to move up to 2 spaces. 2 copies of Jury's Bola. When you're within 3 spaces of a bystander, gain +1 die during each attack. Exhaust. If you're in a bystander space, you may attack target space within 5 spaces of you. And then finally, we have 4 copies of Jury's Duty. It says, choose a hero within 5 spaces of a bystander. That hero may move. So yeah, nice little team-up effect between her. So she works really well as a support character, while maybe your other character's doing stuff. So pretty cool. Alright, let's check out our villains. We're going to have One-Liner. So, although, that'd be maybe my only, kind of gripe about this so far, is that just kind of at glance, she just looks like a regular, thug character. There's nothing that really makes her stand out that much as a mini. And the same thing with the base game Dowager. She kind of looks like a trench-coated thug. Versus some of the other minis you like villains, you get big epic capes, or even the heroes have some different flair. It's not a big gripe because it's it's their personality comes through on their cards more than their miniatures, and I guess if you colored them, they would show up that way. If you painted them, but yeah, otherwise she just kind of looks normal. Alright, so we have One-Liner on her steaming side. She has 7 problems per player. X Inflict. So setup. Place 1 minion in One-Liner steam panel. Special rule. One-Liner inflicts value X equals the number of minions in the steam panel nearest to her to a minimum of 1. So she basically gains more damage the more minions there are. And then when you have to fight her showdown, she has Space Meteor L. She has 20 health per player. She has no defense, but she has 4 inflict. One-Liner gets +1 defense for each hero near her. So basically, the more people that gang up, the harder she is to beat. Active. Inflict. If unable to inflict, One-Liner deals the hero nearest to her 1 damage for each minion in the steam panel nearest her. So it's kind of neat her ability to gain extra defense, So if you're playing this set, you just have Judge. She'll have 1 defense, which is pretty much what lots of characters have. But because Jury's abilities really want you to be next to another hero, it's also going to make one-liner harder to beat with 2 defense. It's just kind of a fun little way to do that. You want heroes that want to work together, and then the villain that gains better if they are. Then we have our lackey cards. We have Higher Gun, 5 health, 1 defense, 3 inflict, Covering Fire. Move towards the nearest bystander on the map. Then you must discard 1 focus or Higher Gun inflicts you. And then, of course, we got our little miniature for the Higher Gun. So even compared to one-liner, this guy looks more like a little bit more detailed in what he has. His gun, you see different pockets and stuff. Again, minor gripe. Nothing I'm gonna wouldn't buy a game over. And then we have our peril for that. We have Heckler, box of bullets. 3 problems. Activate. The heroes nearest to this peril must either suffer 3 damage or defeat 1 bystander from the hero map. And then we'll have our other colors. Red, green, and yellow. Then her burst ability, which will have the different symbols. So we have bystander, special action, which activates this. And then the different colored symbol activates a different minion. So we get 1 with each different colored symbol. And then the showdown, which will only activate if you draw this card and the villain is in showdown. Otherwise, it does on point special. Place 1 minion in each Steam panel with no minions. If no minions are placed this way, each hero is dealt 1 damage for each minion in the Steam panel nearest to them. Showdown, one-liner immediately inflicts. And then we'll have Reloaded, which will have the 4, and then it'll have some double symbols. It says each hero suffers 1 damage for each peril on the map. If no peril is in play, draw the topmost peril of the villain card, discard if able. Showdown, one-liner immediately inflicts, then after this attack, you must discard 1 focus or one-liner inflicts again. And then we have Staggering Hook, which is going to have our villain symbols plus the Crisis Globe. So I know that's not what it's called, but I forgot what it's called immediately. So this will be Staggering Hook. Showdown. Place this card in your threat area. It gains the following effects. After performing action other than the one below, this card deals you 2 damage. Action, discard this card. And then we have Offensive Material. We get our 4 copies of that. Special. One-liner is on the map. She inflicts, otherwise place 1 minion in her Steam panel. This showdown, you must either place 1 of your minions in the Steam panel nearest to you, or one-liner immediately deals 1 damage for each minion in the supply. 2 copies of Knockdown. One-liner immediately inflicts. If you suffer any damage, move 3 spaces away from one-liner. Then this card in your threat area, and it gains. You cannot perform move actions. Spending action to move this card. And then her special is 1 copy of Armed for Anarchy. Special, one-liner inflicted while resolving this card. She steams, otherwise she inflicts each hero nearest her. Showdown. Each hero not near one-liner must either place 1 minion in the Steam panel nearest to them, or be dealt 1 damage for each minion in the Steam panel nearest to them. One-liner immediately flicks on each other hero. So she plays around with having a lot of minions out, which is very interesting. Then we have our 2 issues. So we have Visiting Hours, which issue overview says remove inmates from the issue deck, place it in the issue play area, place 1 issue token on Northern Ward. This is an inmate. Special rules. Inmates are treated as enemies that can be attacked, damaged, and can capture bystanders. When an active inmate suffers any amount of damage, it is flipped and moved 1 space for each damage it suffered. Each time a bystander is defeated, place it on this card. There are 3 bystanders on this card. The villains have escaped the sanatorium, and the heroes lose. Our inmates, our issue tokens, our inmates. Each time after a villain advances, place 1 inmate on their new Steam panel and 1 bystander in an empty bystander space nearest to them. Action: flip the nearest active inmate to either move it 3 spaces or gain 1 clue. Riot. Flip 1 inactive inmate and then move each active inmate 3 spaces towards the bystander space near it to it. Then place 1 bystander on an empty bystander space. If you hit a crisis, you are defeat 1 captured bystander. When able, place a bystander in an empty bystander space and resolve the riot effect above. Alright. Then we'll have our 4 different scenes. We have Northern Ward, Lure Orderlies. Active, flip. So watch it have the exact same thing, just usually different areas. So flip 1 inactive inmate. If unable, place 1 minion on Northern Ward instead. And if we flip that, we're going to get Rescue Orderlies. Action: discard 5 Justice from this card to move 1 inactive inmate to the Steam panel near it to it, then gain a clue. Activate: either discard 1 Justice from this card or discard 2 to focus. So we're going to keep trying to shove these inmates back off the board so they're not going after bystanders. Our yellow one's going to be Administrations, which is Blackmail, which is flipping inactive inmate. If unable, place 1 minion on Administrations. We have Harvey Kane. When this card is flipped, place a bystander token with Harvey Kane's token. Each time Harvey is captured and resolve the riot effect on inmates. If Harvey is defeated, instead defeat 1 other bystander instead. So you have the medical wards that have the same active abilities. So you have raid supplies. And then painkillers. When this card is flipped, place 3 damage on it. Each time an inmate would suffer damage, discard 1 damage from this card for each damage dealt, and reduce that damage by the number of damage discarded from this card. Active, place 1 damage on this card. And then the South Ward. Same effect. The Willing Prisoner. And we have Restraint, who's our enemy. 6 health, 2 defense, 2 inflict. When this card is flipped, place Restraint's token on the empty space nearest to the hero start space. Active. Move 3 away from the nearest hero, then inflict each hero. Alright, so we have 2 copies of all these different cards here. So you have Diminishing Self-Control. If Restraint is in play, she immediately inflicts each hero, then moves them 2 spaces away from her, otherwise she steams. Overdosing. If painkillers are in play, place 3 damage counters on it, otherwise the villain steams. Restopping, discard 2 Justice from Rescue Orderlies. If unable, the villain steams. Compromise. If Harvey Kane is in play, either move his token to the supply to the map or he is captured. Otherwise, the villain steams. And then just the General Crisis card to make things worse. Alright. And our next one will be Campaign Trail. So the Campaign Trail is going to say, removed clone voters from the issue deck and place the issue area. Special rule. I think those are little voter boxes. Or they're VATs, I guess. Our VAT spaces, each bystander enters a VAT space. Place 1 issue token on the bystander space near it to it without an issue token. Each bystander space can only ever have at most 1 token on it. Each time an issue token must be placed on an empty bystander space, but none remain. Place it on this card. If there are ever 3 issue tokens on this card, the villains have cloned enough voters to compromise the upcoming election, and the heroes lose. Issue tokens are clone voters. Issue tokens are clones that block spaces. Each time a bystander is captured, place 1 clone on an empty bystander space. Action: discard 1 issue token from the nearest space to gain a clue. Polling. Move X different bystanders on the map 3 spaces towards the nearest vac, and X equals the number of steam panels in the nearest villain. Then if less than the X bystanders on the map, place 1 bystander. A crisis, place 1 issue token on empty bystander space. Alright, then we have our different scenes. We have Campaign HQ. Missing Mayor. Activate the nearest space. Otherwise, activate the nearest space that you contain a bystander. It is captured. Otherwise, that space deals 2 damage to you. Blah. We have Angelica Knox, a bystander. When this card is flipped, replace a bystander token with Angelica's token. After rescuing Angelica, place her token on this card. Activate. If Angelica's token is on this card, place it. Otherwise, she moves 3 spaces towards the nearest vac. And the Knox Estate, a smear campaign. So these are going to be the same for the other 3 cards, just for different locations. So if the nearest that contains a bystander is captured, otherwise it deals 2 damage to you. So those are always generally the same. Other side, we have compromising material. Activate, move 1 bystander not in a vac space 3 towards the nearest one. If unable, place 1 bystander. Then we have our green one, which is gain labs. And then we'll have any VAT space. Crude copies. Active. Or activate, place 1 minion in a Steam panel containing exactly 1 minion. If unable, place 1 minion in Gain Labs. And then finally we have City Hall, Rival Candidate. We have General Domain. 12 health, no defense, 3 inflict. When this card is flipped, place 1 General Domain token in the City Hall Steam space. Activate. Move 3 and inflict. If unable to inflict, activate the enemy nearest to General Domain. And then our regular pool is we'll have 2 copies of Political Debate. If Angelica is captured, a crisis occurs or the villain steams. 2 copies of Voter Manipulation. If compromising materials is in play, the villain captures 1 bystander from the map or supply. Otherwise, the villain schemes. Here we have Molded Thralls. If crude copies is in play, each minion inflicts. So it's interesting here is that we have some of the other villains from different stuff. So this villain here, I don't actually know what her name is, but she was also in the base game artwork for the issue 36. And the other guy back there is Arkrig. I only know him because he was he's a Kickstarter exclusive villain. It's just kind of neat that they had plans to add more of these villains in here. We have 2 copies of Authoritarianism. If General Domain is in play, he activates, otherwise the villain schemes. And their Crisis card. So then the only other thing the game has is we get a miscellaneous divider. And then we have our 2 copies of the game rounds. It's just a reminder what the symbols do, and what you can do on your turn. Just 1 for each player. So that would be everything we have for this set. So much like the regular base game, we're going to get this big giant box. Now, here's the couple of differences here versus the regular base game is, so the cards can stand up in here, but they're just standing with the divider. They're just actually standing over the top. So I don't like that, because that means if I have these cards in with the divider, the box is going to sit on top of them. So even there's all this extra space, and there's actually a nice angle here for maybe pulling cards out. This isn't probably the ideal setup for if you're buying these to do this, to keep your cards in. Plus, I don't think there's going to be enough room for sleeve cards in here, unless you buy, like, I buy penny sleeves, just because they're cheaper, and I don't play these games nearly enough that I think I need to spend, buying, like, nice tight sleeves. If you buy the nice tight sleeves that go right to the top of the cards, they'll probably fit in here. But if you get penny sleeves, it might be close. I'll have to adjust. And I will do a video with all the Kickstarter content, like the Kickstarter exclusives, just to show off how everything fits in all these boxes, or how you can combine them. So you can check out that. And this is going in backwards for some reason. So then this also can pop out, and there's nothing below it. So in the base game, there's a little tray on the bottom for all your tokens. This one doesn't have one of those. It does have this little spot here to dump all your tokens in, but then your clue cards are going to probably kind of sit out, because I don't know if that's going to be enough room for all these tokens. So just something to point out with that. Alright, so that was our judge and jury video. Here we go. The judge and jury expansion. So that's the first expansion for this game. So it adds, new heroes, new villains, some new issues to play, some new boards on it. It's a great add-on if you enjoy the base game, or again, you could just pick this up, play it by itself. The other expansions will be Kickstarter exclusive, so I will do the videos for those too, so check those out. Because if you really like the game, you might be able to pick them up secondhand somewhere else, maybe a little bit more expensive, but at least you'll know if you want them. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Bye.